regular board meeting for the Rockcastle County Board of Education. It's great to see all of our students here with us tonight. I'm assuming we're going to get to hear from them really soon, but we would like to welcome parents and our visitors, everyone. You're always welcome to come to our meetings. The first thing on our agenda, I would like to call this meeting to order, and we will have a moment of silent prayer. Amen.
Ma'am.
Item 1B is a roll call. All members are present. Miss Anna is joining us via Zoom tonight. Miss Anna, can you hear us?
Hello, everyone.
Thank you, Anna. Item 1C is the reading of 14 commitments, and I'll read those for us tonight. 14 commitments for Rockcastle County School. To improve our effectiveness, the board team for Rockcastle County Schools commits to review processes and experiences to identify and direct improvements, continuously define and work toward long-term goals which serve all students of the district, make each decision based on facts and the best for all students, listen to each other and speak freely, work together, support each other and not surprise one another, discuss board deliberations to point of mutually agreeable resolution based on factual information, support the majority's decision, projecting board unity toward shared goals for continuously improving district-wide student learning, operate without personal or political agendas, respect one another, agree to disagree respectfully, delegate implementation to superintendent and education team, and to respectfully remind each other of these commitments. The next thing on our agenda is to adopt the agenda. We need to make an amendment to that. We have a 4S, which is going to be approve the shortened school day request, and 4T, which is approve the single case agreement between Applied Behavior Advancements LLC and Rockcastle County Public Schools that needs to be added under operations and actions. Does anyone have any questions for Dr. Ballinger? If that be the case, I need a motion to adopt the agenda.
Second.
All in favor? Item 3, this is always the best part of every board meeting. It's our time that we highlight our school, and it's our community showcase. So, Dr. Ballinger, the first thing on here is the Kentucky Rural Education Teacher of the Year presentation.
Yes, and I would like to ask Dr. Stafford to join me and Dr. Hub to join me as we get to make this presentation. So I've been really excited about this for a long time, and it's been really hard to keep a secret, and I think that we have successfully pulled this off. So Ms. Starla Binge, if you would stand. Celebrate with us, and of course your family is here. Ms. Starla, when I saw the application process for this Kentucky Rural Educator of the Year award, I knew, like, I didn't have to think about it. I knew immediately who I wanted to nominate. You are the heart and soul of our school district. You work and you give everything you have to your students, and we don't let that go unrecognized. We appreciate you so very much, and we're just honored and excited to have you here as this recipient of this Kentucky Rural Educator of the Year award. And we have several people here in the room that are come prepared to talk about you tonight. Family, if you all want to come on in, just make your any open spot right on in. Well, I will say we may have told several lies to try to pull this off. So I think Savannah has been really worried about it. And we have a few people here, Ms. Carla, that want to just say a few things about you. Ms. Carla, we're so proud of you. Congratulations. Can you believe I kept a secret from you? That's why. Yeah. Like she said, we've had to tell a few things. Little white lies. So I had to write everything down because I didn't want to forget anything, but I wrote a little something for you. And I said, to know Miss Starla is to love her. She has a gift for seeing the very best in others, and she brings that gift into her classroom every single day. Starla goes above and beyond for her students, constantly encouraging them and pushing themselves and embracing new challenges. She understands that learning isn't always easy, and she intentionally creates opportunities for students to experience struggle in a safe, supportive way. Through those moments, she teaches them one of life's most important lessons, that you don't have to be perfect to try, and that growth often comes from the hardest moments. And lots of times, the kids Miss Starla works with are the ones that seek perfection all the time. So she always presents them with things that may going to challenge them. What makes Starla truly special is that she doesn't just teach academics, she teaches life. Her students leave her classroom with more knowledge. They leave with confidence, resilience, and belief in themselves. She reminds them every day that becoming a best version of themselves is what truly matters. Starla has a way of bringing joy wherever she goes. If you've ever heard one of her stories, you know she can light up her room with those. She, I say Miss Starla makes me belly laugh. There's not many people that make me belly laugh, so she always can make me feel better. And that's the kind of joy is something everyone needs in their life. Is little Miss Starla. In my opinion, someone who can make people feel better just by being around them is truly special. Starla is that kind of person. Her kindness, encouragement, and genuine love for others makes a lasting impact on both our students and the adults lucky enough to work alongside of her. Like I said, everybody needs a little Miss Starla.
So if you don't know for me, so I'm the director of technology, and I've thought for a long time that principals think they go into classrooms and observe, right? But we all know when the principal goes into a classroom, everything changes, right? That's the way it goes. Well, for me, for 23 years, I walked into classrooms to fix a problem, right? Takes me a second, but I get a snapshot of that classroom every time I go in. Everything doesn't stop. Everything doesn't change when I go in. I go in, I try to be, fly on the wall and not make it change. So for a long time, I've watched from when Starla was brought in with Starla now. It's easy to pick out which teachers are great teachers and which teachers need some work still, right? So that's the best way to say it. So I think about a couple of things. I think about her spelling bee project, which if you guys don't know, some districts don't do a spelling bee. They definitely don't do it the way we do. Okay, it's one of the busiest things and the most fun things that we do in our district. I get to work on it for like a day. Miss Starla works on it for weeks ahead of time. It gets more YouTube views than our sporting events. Might be too soon to say that, but it gets more YouTube views than our sporting events. It's really, really great. It's great to showcase academics and athletics, but it's great to showcase academics especially. Another story I'll tell is I got to go on a kindergarten field trip. My wife's a kindergarten teacher. My son was in kindergarten last year. We went on a field trip. So the story starts. So I like technology. You guys know that. The story starts with me being sad that the kids aren't going to the movies, right? So I started off kind of sad, like they've done a movie trip every year, and that's what they do in kindergarten. That was their trip. So I was like, well, kids need to go to the movies, right? And then her trip went to Maywoods. It was the woods. She taught kids about camouflage, not by showing them pictures of animals, but by giving them camouflage outfits and telling them to go lay down in the woods and play hide and seek. Right? Those kids all understand camouflage. I have no doubt because they learned a lot. They got to play in a creek. So I learned about it. They got to play in a creek. They got to see bugs and find bugs and do lots of fun things. I realized after that trip, the kids don't do that anymore. Kids have lots of screen time. They don't need to go to the movies, right? Maybe they do sometimes, but they don't need to go to the movies. But they definitely need to go to Maywoods and look at bugs and learn about camouflage and learn about animals. And that just really had a great effect on me. But lots of things she's done had a great effect on me. So thank you.
Don't cry. I'm not laughing. You are the best. You've been the best.
I had to write what I said down so that I didn't cry. I want to take a moment to thank you and for all of the hard work that you put into the Gifted and Talented program. Now, I met Miss Starla for my first time my junior year when Miss Ashley Mullins sent over some of her business tech students to help with one of the Gifted and Talented programs projects. Little did I know that from that one day, my plans for senior year would change completely. I always knew I wanted to do a co-op. I just had no clue where I was going to. It's a little difficult to find jobs based around aircraft mechanics in Rockcastle. But when Miss Starla asked me if I wanted to co-op with her, I was a little hesitant at first, but I now know I wouldn't change it for the world. I know from an outside view that it may seem like all we do is project after project, but it's so much more than that. I feel as though many people don't realize how much time, effort, and planning goes into running along with all the other things that Miss Starla does. Every project has to be researched, supplies have to be ordered, and we have to know how to do it to teach it. Just in the last year, Miss Starla has shown me over and over again just how much she truly cares about her students. She works so incredibly hard to make learning exciting, creative, and meaningful for them. Miss Starla puts so much time and effort into planning activities that help students think outside the box and learn in ways that go beyond the normal classroom. Whether it's hands-on projects, research, or creative challenges, she always finds a way to make learning engaging and memorable. Because of her dedication, students get opportunities to explore new ideas, develop their creativity, and discover interests they might not have known they had. Programs like this don't happen without someone who is as passionate and willing to put in the extra time and effort like Miss Starla. So today, I say thank you, Miss Starla, for everything you do for the gifted and talented students. Your hard work truly makes the biggest difference, and I can promise you it does not go unnoticed.
Oh, after all that.
All right, so hello everyone. I'm Courtney Rigsby and I teach at Mount Vernon Elementary School. And I have the honor of sharing about Miss Starla Benz tonight, along with these other fine folks. Not only as a colleague, but I'm here as a parent. And I'm gonna try not to cry. All right. So all three of my children have been a part of the Gifted and Talented program with Miss Starla. My oldest son Wyatt is a member of the RCHS academic team, which is led by Miss Starla, and she does a fabulous job. She is an exceptional gifted and talented coordinator whose dedication and willingness to provide numerous enrichment opportunities have allowed students at all grade levels to flourish. She has done an excellent job coordinating the district-wide spelling bee, inviting parents to attend, which we love, and sharing the event live so that classes can cheer on their classmates, and lots of them do that. She oversees the high school academic team, running our elementary academic team meets, and they do a very efficient job as moderators, buzzer operators, and judges. This encourages our young academic team members to keep participating in middle school and high school, and it's made our high school members role models. She also started an academic team banquet for all elementary, middle, and high school members to celebrate their accomplishments, which we as parents also love and appreciate it. One of my favorite events that Miss Starla began is the Kentucky Heritage Days for our 4th through 8th grade students, showcasing projects like quilting, birdhouses, corn husk dolls, and poetry, pushing students out of their comfort zones to highlight talents maybe they didn't realize they had. This brave lady even takes our high school gifted and talented students to Maywood Environmental Classroom to lead activities for our elementary students, exploring the outdoors and learning about nature. When I say she's the best at what she does, I mean it. She always goes above and beyond to ensure that our students become confident learners and engaged citizens. And as a mother, I appreciate that she always makes sure that our students are celebrated for their academic achievements. I know if one of my children is under Starla's care, they will have fun, they will be challenged, and they will be loved. I can't think of anyone who deserves this honor more than Miss Starla Benz. She is the kindest, most patient individual. She's able to connect with all students and make them believe just how important they are. She is quite simply the best, and she is a blessing to everyone in our school system, our community, and our state. Congratulations.
I'll have to say, when I submitted the application, Dr. Stafford emailed me or called me and said, "Is she really all that?" But as you can see, she's really all that, so we're so proud of you and appreciate the love you so much.
Well, congratulations and good to meet you. Thank you for letting us interrupt your board meeting this evening. I'm Rob Stafford. I'm with the Kentucky Rural Education Association, and it's a newbie of an association that we started a few years ago. Dr. Ballinger has been very instrumental in helping us get it started and giving us direction, and we so much appreciate her leadership. But the Kentucky Rural Education Association exists to bring together not only our K-12 or P-12 educators, but also post-secondary educators and our service providers. It's a big table where we can come together and talk about rural issues that are specific to rural communities that often don't get discussed and they don't get highlighted. So tonight is an opportunity for us to highlight that, and being our very first Kentucky Teacher of the Year, we're excited to be here and to be a part of this and to have with us Dr. Kevin Hubb from Eastern Kentucky University, who's also sponsoring this award, and also Partners for Rural Impact, who's a sponsor of this. So we're just pleased to be here. I'm excited to meet you finally and see you in flesh. And then so we have also a little more to that. Along with this award, you'll receive $1,000 for your personal award and up to $3,500 for whatever professional development you would like to select. One of the things is your name will be forwarded to the National Rural Education Association Teacher of the Year to represent Kentucky, hopefully, and compete at that level. And then I think we're going to visit back and maybe have a little luncheon with your students at a future time. So welcome and congratulations. I mean, not welcome, but congratulations. I'm welcome here. Congratulations, and I'll turn it over to Dr. Hubb.
Well, I'll just shake your hand again. So it's spring break for us. So Dr. Elizabeth Smith, our dean, wasn't able to be here. Lucky for me, I got to be here. So Dr. Stafford and I are both retired superintendents, and I agree that this is always the best part of board meetings.
Yes.
And here is the problem with you winning. My gosh, how are we going to find somebody else with you next year? All right. I mean, to hear the tales from students, especially, gosh, students and teachers and peers, well deserved. It was absolutely easy to look at the application and the letter, and congratulations so much. Thank you very much for representing us.
Thank you so much.
Okay. And for you all want to join real quick, we'll snap a quick picture and then we'll come in and continue the board meeting.
wait for Miss Starla. We do not want to rush her, but no, if everyone is okay, we're just gonna skip down to 3C and get our construction update for the RCM. Are you all okay with that?
Yes.
Okay, yes,
Give him a hard time.
because we want her to enjoy every moment of this.
Okay, I think actually this month should look a lot different. And it'll be, instead of just staring at a few, ducks and all that stuff. So this is just a picture of the, actually the track work. Don't panic, it's not red. That's just the, that's just the sealer. Okay? Go ahead. Um, huh? Just the other side. So they've done all of half of it. They ran out of material to finish the little quarter corner, and that's why it didn't get all the way done. It's really tough with this one with the weather because it can't get wet at all. Like today, our guys kind of work through all the sprinklers and stuff. They can't do that with this process, so that's why it kind of slowed down to there. But they are there, and all their stuff's there, so I'm just gonna wait till the right time. Just a close up of your high jump area. All right, so this backing off, if you can see, we got a top on the basement. Okay, so that just came this week, and we're just going to kind of walk around the outside of the building. So all of it is covered up. So we finally connected the two buildings. And we're really grateful for that. This is the, so I think it's the 7th crane wing on that side, but that's up to bar joist height. So pretty soon that'll get a roof as well on that side. Just another view of it going inside, so all the walls are up. You also have roof, actual roof on that is the cafeteria, kitchen, and most of the library. So that gives us the cafeteria and the kitchen dry for us to wear. Just a little close up of it. This is the back. You can see we've kind of worked on the exit road. That is actually what it's going to look like when you're done and when they're actually going to drive back. That it is to the right height and all of that. You can see the cooling tower, and then you see kind of right in the middle at the bottom is as you're loading dock that's going in back there. This is your courtyard area. The turf is going to come on April 1st, so that will be done then. We're just waiting. We take another picture of getting this one brick wall on this side up all the way, so we don't have to put anything on it. It's virtually completed. You can see a front view of it there. There you go. Added just a couple of inside ones. This is the cafeteria. Go ahead. And I wanted to show that there's actually some paint going on, so that's kind of exciting. That's dry enough in there to paint. So this is the kitchen, actually, where the dishwashing area is. This is your hallway of your basement. So still a little wet because we got to pour it. It is scheduled to pour next week, at the end of the week and the beginning. So Friday and Monday of the following week, the guys are putting in the plumbing and all the stuff on the second floor right now to get that in. And this is just a classroom, actually looking from the art room, and that's a classroom on that side. If you just go from the double door over to there, I think that's it. I'm not going to bail on the schedule yet. I know we've talked about it, and we have talked about it with these guys. We're just going to keep pushing. It is not from lack of people being there. We have between 40 and 60 people there every day working, and they've been done to right where they can before they get to daylight. So we can stay optimistic still. Okay. I don't know what Stephen told you last time, but I'll be more optimistic than next time. Okay. But that's what I'm saying. The guys are working hard. They are definitely there all day doing the most that they can, even throughout all the kind of weather. So really the only thing that stopped us all along was the weather. So besides that, it's fine. So any questions?
That's right. Thank you.
Thank
Darryl.
you.
Yep.
So now that we have our superstar, our rock star, I like to call him a rock star from Rockcastle, but Just to back up to 3A, talking, Miss Darla, you know, you're a blessing to all of our students, and anyone that knows you can see the hard work that you put in. And it's not just about having a job for you. I think that it's definitely it's who you are. So thank you for everything you do, and we would love for you to come and talk to us about gifted and talented.
Y'all didn't make that easy. So, thank you guys for everything. I appreciate all of everything. I just appreciate it all. And thank you for letting me come here tonight and talk about our Gifted and Talented program and to showcase some amazing work that our students are doing during their Gifted and Talented days. And when I thought about what I would present to you all today, I started thinking about last year's end of year program review, and the very last slide, I listed a whole list of goals that I would like to reach this school year. And so I selected two of those goals that were most impactful to students. And if you'll go to the next slide, Mr. Brandon, those goals are creating new vibrant learning experiences to add to our project-based learning that we do during Gifted and Talented Days at the Rockcastle Area Technology Center. And then to also become more of a resource to high school students, because what I'm finding is that the students I've been working with through elementary and middle school, they're going to high school and they're like, what are you going to do with us? Because I've been doing so much with them and they miss that interaction. So I want to come up with ways to do more things with those students. And so first I'll talk to you about some of the new vibrant learning experiences we've added, if you don't care. So 5 of the new projects that we've added are the genealogy project, the Kentucky Pack Horse Librarian project, the Pioneer Cabin project, brew making project, and the canning or the food preservation project. And I've got students here to talk to you guys about the first two. So we'll start with genealogy, if you don't care to go to the next slide. And I have here today Riley McKinney, who is a 7th grader. You want to come on up, Riley? And Brody McClure, who is also a 7th grader. Where's Brody at? And this is the first that we have done the genealogy project with. And to start that project, I applied for the Ancestry Classroom Grant, and we received that grant for the entire school district. So all teachers and students and staff yeah. Our internet here in the school district, if you're using school district's internet, then you will be able to use the Ancestry search tools. And so these guys started that project. Before they began, we talked about the importance of knowing your family history, finding those connections, but we also talked about making sure that we are being respectful of the information that we share, and that if our families are not comfortable with some information being shared, that we are respectful of that. So we made sure to start out with that. So I'm gonna let these guys talk a little bit about their experience doing that research project, and then I think they're gonna show you all their final product. Is that okay? You guys feel good about that? All right, who wants to get started? All right. So all of them started with was a blank family tree. And they used the information that they already knew to start looking up ancestors. And so it was important for them to know names and dates and to know kind of where they lived, right? So do you want to go talk to them a little bit about that?
Well, when I start this, you're gonna have to use your imagination and this is gonna like it was blank and I mean I knew a lot, I mean great grandparents, but you have to go back to
Yeah, we did 6 generations. Yeah.
And so what some of them ran into was that while they were doing their research, that they would run into sometimes not being able to find a person. Because in order to continue the family tree, you have to find the ancestor, and then it goes on beyond that. And then you have to fact check it. And a lot of these guys talked about how they felt like detectives because they were going through the process of finding people and where they were from. And so that was a really neat part of this project. Also, my favorite part that came from this project was the conversations they had with families when they went home, and how Brody, he talked about how his grandma and grandpa were really excited to be having these conversations. And so what happens a lot of times when, do you guys want to go show them while I talk a little bit about this project? Go show them your family trees. There's your artifacts. There are yours. So what happened, you want to take them up there so they can get them? So what happened was a lot of times when families get together, the kids are usually in a corner and they are on their phone or they're playing a video game. And so this project provided the opportunity for them to have conversations and to build that relationship and those connections. And so that was a powerful part of this project. And then also, learning those research skills and them being meaningful. So it wasn't like doing a research project that was focused on a specific topic. It was about their family, their heritage. And so that research was a little bit more meaningful.
So where did you do?
Oh, yeah.
What on the fact check? Check that you have to do like dates.
Ancestry.com.
Have the kids found out they're related?
Yeah, they have. Yeah.
Actually, pretty neat.
Bo found that we have ancestors that are similar.
He told me that.
Yeah. No, Mr. Reppert, you better hold on to that.
Cousins.
And they would holler at me and they'd be like, Miss Starlin, I found a picture, I found a draft card and stories from the newspaper. I mean, it was really exciting project for them to work on. I think they're a little bit stage fright right now, but they really I think they really enjoy the project and getting to find those people in their family. And then after they did the paper, the written part of their project, they had to put it together in a final product. Oh, yeah.
That's cool.
But the research part of it was really exciting because, a lot of times you ask kids to do research on different topics, but this was about them and it was personal. And so finding the information was exciting.
Good job, boys. Yes, good job.
Thank you, guys.
Now, is that something that you can use years forward? Continue using that, or was that a 1 year?
So that is a 7th grade project. When I very first started doing Gifted and Talented, I had a set of projects that everybody did. And as the years have gone on, those projects have developed where each grade level does a different set of projects. So this will be a 7th grade project.
Ongoing.
Yeah, every year we'll do this. A different 7th grade group will do it.
Will your ancestry grants, do you have to reapply? Or
It lasts 3 years,
Okay.
and then you apply again after that.
Awesome.
Yeah.
That's amazing. That's great.
And I don't think it's too hard to get it. Like, it wasn't a major feat.
That's good. And there's plenty of resources in the community too that can help you with that. The DAR and Historic Society.
And what some of them started using when they were having a hard time finding information on Ancestry, they just stumbled across Find a Grave. And so that was a resource that a lot of them used, was Find a Grave. They had a lot of conversations. Hey, Mom, who's Grandma? What's her name? What was her maiden name? And they're like, what are you asking me that? All right. So our next project is the Pack Horse Librarian project. And this project started off in a unique way compared to all of the other. I typically have in mind what the end product will be, and this project was completely student driven. And so the only thing that they had up front was the information I provided to them about the Pack Horse librarians and the history behind that, and what they did, and that I wanted to showcase the work that those ladies did. And so after we talked about that, I let them go off and they started doing their own research, thinking about what they would like to do in order to showcase the work that those ladies did. And so they came up with lots of different ideas, and most of them were better than what I would have come up with. And so when I asked these guys if they would do this presentation, one wrote a speech and one created a presentation, and then the others are going to talk about the project. So if you guys want to come on up. These are all sixth graders. We have Ava Clady Carter, Jackson Whitaker, and Nicholas Peters. And Jackson is going to go first.
When I was younger, I lived in Danville and made regular trips to the Boyle County Public Library. All of the librarians were super nice to me, but there was one I liked most of all, Miss Libby, the children's librarian. We visited so much she knew my name and would recommend books and help me with all kinds of things. When we moved here, we started going to the library here, and I made a new friend, Miss Pam. Miss Pam and I immediately became friends, and now I love visiting with her every time I'm at the library. The point is that librarians are very special people who have a tremendous impact on all our lives. The Pack Horse librarians were a special group of people who rode through the hills of Appalachia to bring people books during a very troubled time in our country, the Great Depression. They would often do this on very little pay, extreme conditions, and all while providing their own horse and covering all the expenses. But despite all the challenges, the Pack Horse librarians would deliver books to people who desperately needed a Miss Libby or Miss Pam in their life. My classmate Addie Carter is going to present a presentation that she made.
All right, you've got her presentation. You just click to the next slide.
Books. We all love books. Who here does not like books?
All right.
And now most days you can just go to the library and just pick out a book you want, right? Well, yeah. But back in the Depression era, people could not do this. But many brave women decided that they were going to deliver books by horse. And most people may ask, what was the mission of Pack Horse Librarians? The mission of the Pack Horse Librarians, initiated in the 1930s under WPA, Works Progress Administration, was to deliver books, magazines, and educational materials to isolated families in the Appalachian Mountains of eastern Kentucky to promote literacy, education, and hope during the Great Depression. And some people like Jackson said, they had to fight the weather, they had to fight extreme conditions, stuff like that. These are some examples. Impassable paths. They used dry creek beds as road and crossed swollen rivers, icy ridges, and narrow mountain trails that were far too dangerous for cars. Extreme distances. Most covered 100 to 120 miles per week on horseback or mule. Weather extremes. They rode through blizzards, torrential rain, and scorching summer heat. When their animals died or paths became too steep. Some librarians famously walked up to 18 miles on foot to complete their rounds. The Pack Horse librarians weren't just delivery people. They were heroes on horseback who provided that where you live shouldn't stop you from learning. Even during the Great Depression, they found a way to bridge the gap between mountains, homes, and the rest of the world. Why it still matters. No excuses. If they could deliver books through blizzards on a mule, we can definitely find ways to help students today.
That was my favorite part.
The first bookmobile. This project worked so well that it literally started a bookmobile program we still use in Kentucky. Power of a book. For many kids in the 1930s, a librarian showing up was the best part of their entire month.
There's one more slide.
Cool quote I saw from the internet.
They weren't just librarians, they were lifelines, proving that sometimes the most radical act of service requires only a book, a mule, and the courage to ride impossible trails.
Good job.
So these guys are going to talk about subjects that the students came up with on their own. And let me grab this because this is one of them. They built, actually. All right, go ahead. And this year, we've been learning about the Pack Horse Librarians, and some of the projects we have been working on are book boxes that we will place around the elementary schools in Rockcastle County, so you can leave a book in them or take a book with you. There's a couple podcasts that will be available on Facebook, and there's a flyer where you can scan to find it, and it will talk about the Pack Horse Librarians. There's also another one that is you can scan it to go to a wish list, and we're going to take up books to give to kids around the community. Okay. And we also made scrapbooks from old books like the Pack Horse Librarians did, and we made those into new books that people could read to learn about the Pack Horse Librarians. We also made informational in trifold boards that would show you how they helped and built around the community. We also made buttons to show you how they did things and how they could cover giant mountain ranges to giant creeks. And then we made bookmarks, just as like a little memorial for them. And so all of that was their idea. So I just gave them the information about the Pack Horse Librarians, and then they went with that and decided to do all those different projects. And so what they're going to give you is a flyer with some information about the Pack Horse Librarians, and then the 2 podcasts that each group made, and then the link to the wish list. You want to hand those out? Their podcasts are really good too. Picture. You here to go to the next slide. I'm just going to briefly go over the rest of the projects that we've done. The Pioneer Cabin project was a project that the 5th grade students did, and it focused on the importance of the cabin to early settlers, and how the settlers who came to Rockcastle in Appalachia, that they came here without the access to resources that we have now, so they couldn't go to Lowe's and buy lumber. They had to use the natural resources that we had in the area, and it really focused on the types of wood that they selected, and the importance of picking the right kind of wood and picking the right kind of stones, because for their fireplace, because if you pick limestone, for instance, it doesn't radiate heat as well, and so you would probably not want to build a fireplace out of limestone. Or you wouldn't want to use creek rock, because creek rock has water in it. If it gets too hot, it could explode, and that's not what you want out of a fireplace. And so how most fireplaces were built out of sandstone, because they absorb that heat and it radiates back out into the cabin. And so they built a cabin made out of clay, and the requirement was that it had to have a chimney. And the purpose of the chimney was so that during Kentucky Heritage Day, we could display those cabins and put incense in them and hope that smoke will come out of the chimney. So I think that'll be really cute. Hopefully it works out that way. And then the next. So the broom making project is a 7th grade project this year. And over fall break, my daughter Autumn and I attended a class with Chris Robbins at Ottawa. And he taught us about several different kinds of brooms and broom history and all that stuff. And so I brought that back and shared it with our 7th grade group. And we talked about the history of broom making in Kentucky. We talked about legends behind the broom, and how, I think it was Benjamin Franklin, I wrote it down so that I wouldn't forget. Benjamin Franklin, they said, was the first person to introduce broom corn to the United States. That he found a broom in Philadelphia that came from the West Indies, and it had a seed, and he decided to plant it. And that's the legend behind it. I don't know that that's true, but that's what they say. And we talked about how broom corn isn't actually a corn, it's a grass. And we talked about how it takes about 45 to 60 plants to make a single broom. And so then they created a traditional turkey wing broom, and those will be showcased at Kentucky Heritage Day. And then the last new project was the food preservation project, and we collaborated with the Rockcastle Extension Office. And Miss Hazel is an expert in canning, and she talked to the students about the chemistry behind canning and making sure you use the correct cooking tools whenever you're cooking different kinds of vegetables, and you need to know how much acid is in them. And she taught the students how to cut up the vegetables, to put the recipe together, and to can it. And so that was a really exciting activity that we did. And I didn't include this on that, but Mr. Chris, him and Miss Tabitha, they made sure that we had the supplies to fix lunch that day. And so the students made tacos that they had with their salsa, which was an exciting day for them. All right. And so these are some ways that I've been working to become more of a resource to high school students. And so one of the things that we did this year was we took a group of students who were gifted and talented in math and science to the Oak Ridge Laboratory and the American Museum for Science and Energy. I first learned about this field trip from Mr. Bussell. He had talked about how he had taken students on that, and I thought that that sounded like a great trip for me to take kids on. And so actually, Jalen Tyree, he's here today. He's going to talk about that. We also did the Visual and Performing Arts Symposium, where I took students who were gifted and talented in the visual and performing arts. The tech showcase that Mr. Cook invited me to, and we highlighted the quilting project, and then several student leadership projects. I'm trying to be a resource for teachers and students for Portrait of a Rocket, and then my wonderful co-op student. So we'll start with the Oak Ridge Laboratory, and Jalen, he went with me on this trip, and go ahead. He knows more, Peter, about science than I do, and so I'll let him talk about his favorite parts of that trip, and then I'll talk a little bit about it.
Let's see, my favorite parts. I have to say, first of all, I didn't expect when Miss. Oh my God. What's the nurse like her name? I wasn't expecting it when Miss Starla came up to me in the hallway and she was like, "Hey, you want to go on this trip? We're going to a place where they had a nuclear reactor. You're gonna see it. It's gonna be cool." And as soon as she said that, I was ready to go. I was so prepared. And that has to be one of my favorite parts about it. Seeing that old, disheveled place where people used to work day in, day out. See how people struggled to work there, how they segregated the entire town from the rest of the world. They made sure that they were not known. And it was so cool to find all of that out. I took a lot of pictures. I do, however, think that the supercomputer has to be a close second because I don't know, standing right there, they had these window panes that were right in front of this huge room. I mean, bigger than this one, and it was lined wall to wall just about with these huge computers. And it's
When they replaced those computers, they said they had to. How many feet of concrete did they say they had to put in to support just the weight? Because the concrete that was there, if they would have brought those computers in to sit on top of that, it would have crushed through the concrete.
So they had 5 feet.
I think it was 5 feet.
They had 5 feet of concrete underneath to support it.
Yep.
And learning about that baffled me because even though it's not the fastest supercomputer in the world anymore, sadly, it was incredible to see, honestly, because all the things you could do with that.
Yeah.
Oh,
I thought the graphite reactor was pretty cool.
Oh, yeah.
Because it was like walking back in time. Like they hadn't changed it at all.
I was just, me and my friend, me and my friends were joking about the freaking. They had this wall full of holes that they said you put like shells into it, like shells of radium and stuff. And we were joking around, saying it was like they had one It literally said donut. I joked that it was the donut hole.
Yeah.
It was fun. It was informative. They had this huge wall full of like a bunch. It was like this giant periodic table of elements. It's super educational. It showed you their half life and it was amazing. Showed you how long it took for them to deteriorate within the reactor.
It was very
It was
interesting.
so fun.
I think whenever the periodic table that he's talking about, when there was a bunch of kids standing in front of it, I said, point at your favorite element, and I took a
Oh,
picture.
yeah.
Yeah. All right. So the graphite reactor, that was pretty interesting to see, and to see how the uranium, I think 235 was created there, and that was part of what they used to create the nuclear bomb, and just being there in that facility, seeing the history behind it, and how all the people who were there couldn't share. Like if Jalen and I were neighbors, we couldn't talk about what we were working on because every single part of it was confidential, and so it was a really great trip. The American Museum of Science and Energy, we really enjoyed that. The lady who put on the presentation on energy, she did a really good job. Do you care to flip to the next slide because there are pictures of that?
What?
I didn't put your picture.
Okay.
But that top picture, that is the picture of what he was talking about with the periodic table. And then that middle picture is a flag of nations. And they talked about how each flag represented a person who worked at the facility and what country they came from. But it was a great trip for those kids, and they were able to experience a day there. And I'd love to do it again and spend more time in the facility. So thank you, Jalen, for coming and talking about it. He's awesome. Thank you. All right. The next slide is, I believe, you can go to the next slide. So the Visual and Performing Arts Symposium, I'm a part of the Lake Cumberland Region Gifted and Talented Cadre, and they have started hosting a Visual and Performing Arts Symposium. And I took students who were gifted and talented in the visual and performing arts, and they were able to collaborate with students from across the Lake Cumberland region and have conversations with students who were interested in similar things that they were interested in. And so that was a great day for them to make connections with people that they hadn't met before. They were able to participate in the musical theater, create a comic, art meets storytelling, drumming to the beat, the silhouette, improv, printmaking, chalk pastels, frontier survival lab, and the Meisner technique. And then at the end, Miss Kentucky, she came and did a presentation about her time in foster care and the impact that it had on her and ways that she has overcome that. And Adriana and Jared Barron and Kaylee Neal, they were some students who I was taking to participate in the sessions. And our host, the person that we were bringing to do musical theater, she was unable to come last minute, and so I knew those three students were really great leaders, and so I leaned on them to fill that role. So instead of doing the sessions and participating in all the different art events, they hosted one and was able to do an amazing job on musical theater and talk to the different groups that were there. And a lot of the kids talked like that was one of their favorite sessions. They thought they were adults and not kids because they really did an excellent job. And so Kaylee was going to come talk on it. Adriana's going to talk again, so I won't ask her to do that. All right. So the tech showcase, Mr. Cook invited me to go with him to that, and I think Mr. Bumgarner, is that his name? He had came to me last year and asked me to bring a group of students to participate in that because they don't have a lot of art type activities. And so I thought automatically about the quilting project. And so I got a group of 5 students to go with me and help create a presentation that focused on how quilting connects to STEM or STEAM. And those students ended up winning Best Art Presentation. And we're able to have really good conversations with the community about how quilting connects to science, technology, engineering, art, and music. And so that was a pretty great day for those kids. And then, so student leadership opportunities, I'm always trying to find ways for the high school students to help me do what I do. And so I had a group of kids who went with me to the Loyal James Appalachian Heritage, or Appalachian Center, the Bree College Planetarium, Miss Regina, she reached out and was needing some student leaders to do her after school enrichment, and I was able to work with Miss Ashley Mullins to get kids involved in that. Always have high school students help with the spelling bee, and of course KY and Kuna, that's not new, but we just got back from Kuna, so I thought I would add that in there. And our students, you guys would have all been so proud of our students at Kuna. Kaden Collins was the president of Kuna. My daughter Autumn and Lane Price, they represented Switzerland and the Security Council, and then Chrislyn Sprinkles, Alexis Gilbert, and Madeline Alexander, they represented Madagascar in the Parade of Nations and the Global Expo. So I mean, our kids did an awesome job, and Isaac Gibbs and Sarah Mink were our media corps. So we had a great turnout, and our kids really participated in that event. We were really proud of them. And then I've really tried hard to be a resource to teachers and students for Portrait of a Rocket. I've presented to every 12th grader, every 8th grader, and every 5th grader about what Portrait of a Rocket is, what it looks like, what different activities could fit within each pillar, what that presentation will look like in the final product. I've also followed up several times with 8th grade, and Miss Brandy and I are working with some high school, and Miss Ashley Mullins, we're working to get some seniors to go to the 8th grade and help students put those together on the 24th and 25th. Mr. Brandon and I created the shared Google Drive for Portrait of a Rocket, and I've been putting lots of resources in there and that. And then over the summer, I had Miles Mahaffey and James Perkins and Chloe Mullins. They came in and worked on creating examples so that students would have some access to what those might look like. And so I've been working really hard to try to make sure there are lots of resources so that if anybody needs anything, they could find what they need. And then my co-op student, Adriana, she has been a blessing to me this year. Has any idea what we do every day? And so she has practiced a lot of different things, a lot of different skills as a co-op student. She's definitely practiced leadership and managing different types of projects, getting those materials together and organizing them. She's an excellent communicator and is eager to share ideas. And I always say that I never thought I would find anyone that worked as hard as me, but she sure does. And so, not a student at least, a student who works as hard as an adult is what I mean. And so she's a great mentor to our kids, and when she's not there, they notice. And she's learned and practiced being adaptable because sometimes what you plan doesn't work out. And so she has practiced with me changing plans or adapting plans. And so I'm going to let her speak to her experience as a co-op student because she has done a phenomenal job and she has made my life so much easier. And I appreciate her so much. So I'll let her talk.
All right. Good afternoon. So, as Ms. Starla said, my name is Adriana Graves. I am a senior at Rockcastle County High School, and I'm Ms. Starla's co-op student. To start out, I would like to say that being able to co-op with Ms. Starla Binge has been one of the most rewarding experiences I've had this year. Like, genuinely been the best time. She is definitely what I would consider one of the sweetest and most hardworking teachers I have ever met. And I even thought about changing my plans for college just because of how much I've loved working with her and these kiddos.
I have told her she should be a teacher. She is very good.
So this decision has given me one of the biggest opportunities to step into a small leadership role with helping guide and support younger students while also learning how much responsibilities teachers, especially Ms. Starla, take on every single day. It has taught me so much, from large amounts of patience to communication skills and how important it is to be a good example to others. One of my favorite parts of this co-op has just been spending time with these amazing gifted and talented students. Their creativity and excitement for learning made every day and every project so much more fun and so different. I love seeing how curious they were and how excited they got about the projects that we worked on together. Throughout our project-based learning, I also got to learn so many new things myself. I made the clay cabins. I actually led the project on making the dip candles, which is the picture on the bottom there. And I even learned some new things about my family with the genealogy project. Each project is so perfectly selected by Miss Starla to help these kids understand the history of Kentucky and for them to learn to be proud of where they come from, which makes the learning experience so much more meaningful to them. Overall, this experience has been both fun and educational, and I really hope whatever next co-op student she gets will have just as much fun as I have, because it's definitely been a blast. I'm really grateful to have the opportunity to work with Miss Starlet and these awesome kiddos. They've been great, and it's definitely something I will always remember.
She is always eager to jump in and help, and I don't. She talked in her speech earlier about our first experience together was with an STLP project, and she had came to my room to work with a group of kids, and I thought, dang, she is so natural at engaging with kids and having conversations with them, and not everybody is good at that, and she is just a natural at it, and I appreciate her so much. I really do, and I don't know what I'm going to do without her. And that's, oh, thank you. Let's see. I think that's it. Oh, and I think I forgot to mention, we've built 2 community libraries. One is going to Mount Vernon Elementary School where their food box is, and the other one is going to Roundstone. The kids selected those because neither one of those communities have a community library. So those are where those will go, and we'll put our books from the book drive in it.
And Starla, you make it easy to see why you're the Kentucky Rural Educator. You're amazing.
Thank you, Miss Starla, and all of you students. You all are just fabulous, and we're so glad that you came and talked to us tonight. And I would just like to ask the young lady that's the senior, what are your future plans?
I'm actually planning to go to Somerset Community College for aircraft mechanics.
That's wonderful. Good for you. Best wishes to you.
Thank you all for being here with us.
Item 3D, it's going to be hard to top that, but. Item 3D is the RCHS School Safety Assessment Report. Welcome.
Thank you. It's always a pleasure to be here, and especially when you're that guy who follows the point in a board meeting. You can say, you all get out of here before the boring opens. It's your chance, the door's open, go. One more word about Miss Darla. This is my 44th year in this business, and sometimes we need a reminder for why we do what we do.
Yeah.
And she is that reminder for me this evening, so exceptional. The other person I'll brag about briefly is Marcus Schwelpert. And I work with all 171 districts in the state of Kentucky. And we have a lot of school safety coordinators, people who work in school safety across the Commonwealth. And he is definitely at the top of that list. Every time he invites me to come here, which is every summer, I guess it's like that bad uncle who you invite, but you're really not sure they're going to come, and they show up every year. So it's nice to work with Rockcastle County anytime. We were here 4 months ago today. We had a team here, the School Safety Assessment Project. Of course, they go on the block in May, and in about 6 hours, 110 assessment opportunities are swiped up, and we seem to get Rockcastle County on our list most years, so it's nice. We send a team of 5, mostly retired principals in. There is an additional guy who comes in who is certified in the building and grounds area, usually a former school administrator or building and grounds guy. You guys had a guy in your our building and grounds rep, who finds a small ounce of peanut butter on a cafeteria floor and he'll write about it in his report. He doesn't miss anything. These reports are divided up. There's a survey that goes out weeks and weeks before the visit. 908 surveys were returned, which is a really large number for a single school. And we conducted 113 interviews that day on November 10th. The format of this, again, we're not the marshal's office. We work closely with the marshal's office. That's the enforcement leg of the School Safety and Resiliency Act. But we work very closely with and hand in hand with the marshal's office. We are more along the lines of information, education, training part of it. A lot of times marshals will call if they find a bad problem, and they'll reach out to me. I was telling a brief story earlier that I was tooling along the Western Kentucky Parkway. Third police officer gone. I think I'm past the statute of limitations. One of the marshals called me, and a principal was telling him that I said it was okay to leave the doors propped open during a large pep rally. So he called me. I said, yeah, let's put her on speaker and let's have this conversation. Because I don't do unlocked doors. So we work very closely together with that. These reports come out in commendations, things that are noticeable, that you're doing really well. There are some areas of mutual concern. You won't find the word recommend in there. That has different legal implications than considerations. You can always consider something and decide not to do it. It's too expensive, whatever. We put a lot of faith, and I follow John Akers' lead on that as our executive director. You have local knowledge. You work here, you live here. This is a snapshot. We send 6 old people in on a single day to come in and see your school, and that's what they take away from it. So you take the information that we share. I do this brief summary, which I have sent to Dr. Ballinger and to Marcus, and that just kind of summarizes the report from there for your purposes, but it might give you some direction on things you want to find out more. Probably 90% of anything that we mentioned on here by now, 4 months later, probably 4 days later, we're already taken care of. So we know that, and really the purpose of this tonight is to come in and I think more than anything, blow the horn of a first-year principal at Rockcastle County High School, Miss Smith, and old friend Tom Greer, who I don't know how you all snagged him away, but you did. And real credit and assistant principal McNabb as well. So you just don't do that in the school without leadership. So this report is great. It's shining. There is one water fountain that doesn't work. That is not the highlight of the report. We had a little fun with that one. The couple of things, I'll hit the highlights briefly.
Can I say something, sir?
Yes, ma'am.
Probably the reason that water fountain doesn't work because our water taste is horrible here, and we do not want to make our children.
Got those filtered water bottle fillies.
That's right.
I'll make the best we use it instead of done on purpose and we'll go with it. Out of concern for the children. Just a positive, welcoming environment. And when you see that in a school district, you guys know that goes to leadership, and there's an example set here. And has been for a long time. The strong leadership for 88% of the students in an anonymous survey, that's their chance to take a best shot at teachers if they want to. 88% of high school students who respond, yes, I have a trusted adult. And even more than that with the survey, with the interviews that they're doing with 4 of their classmates, that's pretty cool. That trusted adult piece is really important because we have to dig into a student network. When we go back to the late 90s and incidents like Keith High School and Columbine, one of the biggest problems were the code of silence that used to exist, especially in high schools. We can't afford that anymore. And we have to be very intentional about creating that two-way network between relatively younger people and relatively older people. You've done that at Rockcastle County High School. You just need to know a school and walk into a school. I'm an old high school principal, and I love the feel of Rockcastle County High School on any given day when you walk in the doors. Just unlimited student support services with the contracts that you have. Mental health support's important for all of us all the time. We never know what people are going through. We have a son who's coming home after he's been gone now 8 months in Europe training in the Army. He's a sergeant in the Army. and got put back a month. And my wife could use some of these mental health supports right now on dealing with that month delay. Perception of safety, 93% plus among students, parents, and teachers. Again, that's a chance for somebody to say something negative if they want to. I don't see that here. Visitor procedures, there are some considerations about transaction windows, that entrance. I know that entrance has been well thought out for a long time because we talked about it long ago. So again, that's just something to look at. You can review that, decide what you're going to do. But the people part of that is what's important. And people are getting checked coming in that door. I can't imagine anybody coming through the door. I'll come in every year in July, not even have any kids in the building, and I get stopped. So I know it happens. The doors were all locked throughout the visit. Guys, if there's anything else, Dr. Janet Robinson at Sandy Hook Elementary, when that tragedy occurred on December 14th of 2012 up in Connecticut, she told my boss, if you go back to Kentucky and don't do anything else, please just close the doors. Close and lock doors during class. And that was the impetus for changing that as part of the School Safety and Resiliency Act years later. The staff morale, way up there. Staff ID badges, not as important necessarily. I'm not saying it's not important, but in a high school it's critical because as we get calls, for example, the alcohol, tobacco, and firearms were the first law enforcement officers to arrive in Marshall County because they had a state conference going on at Kentucky Dam Village. That day, we don't know who's coming in, but they'll be from counties all over the place. And as we get older, new teachers look more and more like high school sophomores all the time. And in a critical moment like that, these responding officers need to know the difference between a staff and a student. And those badges really help to confer that difference and have that out there. Supervision is great. The school rules explained as state, I can't say it any better. As one of the kids said, yeah, they love to tell us to stay off our phones all the time. Knowledge of the stop tip line, it's utilized. CPR training. Kudos to Mr. Donnie and his team. Really clean building, which is important for effective teaching and learning. We have some areas of mutual concern, surveillance camera system, and I know that's on your agenda tonight, and you already have done a lot of work on that. It doesn't get on that agenda as a first step. So emergency operations plan, there's some considerations on pages 8 and 9. You guys have a team here that can shore that up and put it together. The vaping and nicotine products, guys, if I had an answer to vaping, would be on a beach somewhere, but I don't. And we just have to keep connecting with kids and making sure that they don't hurt themselves because there's a lot of bad stuff out there that they can ingest. There are 6 areas just that are discrepancies between the survey and the conversations. You guys, again, you have the local knowledge. You all know what's going on, what's not going on. If we can help with any of that, that's just a standing office. Marcus always knows that, reaches out to us a lot. Anything that we can do to assist, but sometimes, for example, the graffiti piece of it. There was talk in the surveys about all this graffiti at Rockcastle County High School. These 5 old people on the team, I say that, a lot of them are younger than I am, I just like to say that. They go off and they check in bathrooms, they check in stalls, they do that. They didn't find any graffiti. There wasn't any to be found. That's why it's a discrepancy. They didn't see it. The kids, when it's one-on-one, said, I don't know what you're talking about. We don't see that much. So again, those are areas you just have to use local knowledge. A couple of things on the physical plant report. I won't go through the whole list. Got that, but the signage, that may be just somebody getting there in the dark. It was November after the time change. I don't know what that's about because I've always seen signage as being pretty good and plenty of signage. The AED, there is a notation on there that there weren't any lists of people who were trained. I want to be really clear, that's not required. That's just something that in a moment of an emergency, it's nice if you can see some nearby teachers or coaches on that list who know what they're doing. There are people who are trained at an AED that you don't want touching it. There are many other people who are great in an emergency. You know who those people are. So at a basketball game, let's just say it's a tournament game and your game doesn't come out like you want it to. Somebody has a problem. It's nice to have a list of people on there who know what they're doing. Electric panel boxes, that's become a new, it's not new. The OSHA requires those to be closed and locked when they're in student occupied areas. If they're back in a plant operator's room with the door locked, no problem. But out in the hallway, we had a situation in Western Kentucky, gosh, not a month ago. A kid went into a panel box, found one of the blanks, popped it off, stuffed some paper in there and closed it up, and it started a fire in this panel box. Those have some live electricity feeds. It's just good. You can buy those locks through Amazon for about $2. So it's a real easy way to lock those up. I'm looking at some others on here. Bookcases and shelving that's not secure. It's got stuff piled up there. The other one is the trophy case with a lot of glass, kind of reinforcing that glass or looking at some different material. I call that my Jacob moment. There was a kid named Jacob that I happened to be in a school years ago and was walking down the hallway and a fight was brewing. Before I could get to it, Jacob went in backwards into the trophy case and glass went everywhere. I don't like blood, guys, but in an emergency, I had that kid over a sink and trying to stop the bleeding. When EMS got there, I just walked out into another room so I could pass out and nobody would see it. But some bad stuff can happen with those trophy cases in the wrong moment, so it might be something to look at. Exterior lighting review might be after all your construction, taking a look at that, see what kind of lighting has been impacted. You might have all new lighting in there and it's not an issue. The other one is the loading dock. It's an OSHA thing with a 4-inch yellow stripe across the edge of the loading dock if it's 3 feet or more, and having that yellow stripe across there or a removable chain that's across there, something to remind somebody, don't step off of this thing backwards. It's a pretty good drop. Other than that, unless you have questions, obviously you don't have my contact information, but glad to answer any questions you might have. Or you just don't want to
Yeah,
shoot
I
me
have a
up?
question.
Yes,
So, your team comes in, they do an assessment, and then when that assessment is completed, you submit that to who?
It's completed. It takes about 3 weeks to get that written report from a team leader. I did that for a couple of years when I first started with the center, and typically about 3 weeks. That is sent back to the Center for School Safety. The director, Barbara Gateskill, will do the editing on that. And when it's published and printable, like what we have tonight, and I brought another one for you, that goes to you guys. Now, it is subject to open records. We've had open records requests at times, but otherwise, we don't send it to the Department of Education. Nobody else gets a copy of that. This one is exceptional because the things that matter are taken care of here. But it's not something that we send out. Newspapers rarely reach out to us unless there's a problem somewhere. But everybody everywhere is going to be reaching out for open records requests on the unlikely event of something like that. So it doesn't go anywhere except with you guys. We keep a copy of it at the center.
Okay, and also, do you pick schools at random within the school district?
School district decides.
Oh, okay.
We will do up to 2 schools, but there are times, like if you guys call me and said, hey, we've got a situation over here at this school, whatever it is, we've had some suspect people making threats here. We've gone into schools last minute, middle of May, put a team together and we'll go in and do an assessment if you need. We try to be there. If you call, we want to be able to respond and to be there. So typically it's 2 schools a year. We also have available modified assessments. I take a team of 2 in there, and we're in and out in 2 hours. Nobody really knows we're there. We just want somebody to take us around with keys to everything. And we do an 8 or a 10-page kind of a summary. Usually that would be something very focused. Maybe the doors aren't getting closed and locked during school. Office is having trouble with the office protocol part, something like that. It's usually a specific reason, but we do a lot of those, probably 25 of those a year.
Well, thank you. And I would recommend you to stop maybe at Wendy's and get some water out of the tap, and then you'll understand why. No, I'm just giving you all a hard time.
You know what? You have made me really want to do that. I'm that guy that
We'll get you a bottle of water.
the thermostat says do not touch, I go over and touch it. If I didn't have the sign on it, I wouldn't, but keep up the great work here. There are some districts that I think, I really don't want to go there today. This is not one of those. And that number is very low. But you guys stand out and always have. So it's a pleasure being here. Marcus, thank you. Dr. Ballinger for the invitation. Always good to be here. Keep up the great work.
Thank you.
Appreciate
Thank
you.
Thank you.
All seriousness, I say that I know it's due to our staff at the high school, Miss Brandy, Mr. Tom. I know that you all are very diligent in your efforts every day to make sure that our students remain safe, and so thank you. And all of our principals, I know that's what we do at all of our schools, but you were definitely highlighted, so thank you all. Item 4 is operations and actions. Keep in mind that we added 4S and 4T to that. Are there any questions for Dr. Ballinger?
Move to approve.
All in favor? Item 5A, review and approve the monthly financial report. Ms. Jenny?
Yes, good evening. You know, one of the things we often talk about when we're talking about budgets is, you know, a budget is, you know, lots of numbers, lots of priorities, but just all the things that have been celebrated here this evening are a direct reflection of the priorities of our board and of our superintendent. And I just want to thank you as we're looking at how we're utilizing our resources in our school district. We can always be proud of the efforts we make to spend dollars on students and, you know, on advancing all of our facilities and the many things that happen day to day in our school district. So again, these are numbers that we look at monthly, but they mean they make all the things happen and are a direct reflection of the efforts that you give and direct to us. So with all that being said, our monthly report for February, our Fund 1 balance is a little over $5.7 million. In looking at our building fund and our Fund 400, our bond payments, you know, we always mention that number's always zero, but it means that oftentimes there have been bond payments that are made from that fund, but then we transfer that payment from a building fund. And that happened this month with bond payments of $752,017.73. Those 2 bond payments that's a little bit different schedule because we've added the bond payments for the middle school. So we've made all of our bond payments for this year totaling a little over $1.9 million. Our total fund balance, cash balance for the month, including our investments in construction, $43.6 million. Do you have any questions on our expenditure reports or the monthly financial report?
Anyone have any questions?
Anything you're worried about as we wrap up the fiscal year?
We can discuss some challenges. We received a new SEEK number this week, And we are currently, we've been doing a lot of studying this week on how the formula in SEEK related to transportation. There's a, we all know it's a hot topic right now. Transportation is not fully funded. And that would have a significant impact for our district. So the formula, in SEEK, there's a unappropriated amount, and that formula changed a little bit with the final SEEK allocation. And overall, that was a negative of about $183,000 for us. So we were not anticipating that, but we've broken down our per pupil dollar amount changed significantly. And this is part of the formula and the amount of funding that the state provides to school districts. So in that, we've been studying this week and looking at our data. Overall, it's more so related to the formula and the number of students that we are transporting changed slightly, but not $183,000 difference. So again, it's really important that we continue to discuss with our legislatures the importance of transportation funding for school districts. That's a significant portion of our budget. And in looking at the proposed SEEK increase for next year of $40 additional per student, will equate to $79,000 for Rockcastle County Schools. So it's really important that we continue to communicate the importance of raising SEEK, not only for transportation, but for, the important needs of our school district. So we will be evaluating the overall impact on our budget. Again, we just received that in the last week, and we'll come back to you with a solution.
So $79,000, that's gonna buy us what, Kim? 4 tires and maybe 1 tank of fuel?
Not much.
So did the, just to clarify, did the SEEK formula, did something that it changed or just our numbers within the formula?
So from what we've been able to break down is that it's both.
Okay.
The unappropriated amount changed, which is kind of like a double whammy. The unappropriated amount changed also from tentative to final. Our final calculation from the prior year pulled into the SEEK formula. So, we get SEEK allocations, about 3 times per year.
Wow.
And, it was at this time that that specific part of the formula was impacted.
And there's no discussion at the state level of that changing?
No.
No.
And we're not the only school district impacted.
Yeah,
It's been across the state.
Across the state. And we have reached out to KDE and looked at, the raw data that is part of that formula, to look, to break it down and further study it as a school district, and how can we, we can't anticipate the formula changing, and we cannot anticipate the percent of the unappropriated amount changing. As a school district, I know me as a finance officer, I cannot predict that. So, that's the most significant change I've ever seen in transportation.
Remind me, in our budget, we budget to purchase what? 5? Is it
4?
4, okay.
4 school buses. We'll pay for those in July. So the buses that most recently were purchased and have, come in over the last school year, we've already paid for those.
Yeah.
So I can come back to you next month as Dr. Ballinger, and along with all the department heads, as we evaluate, we're having those discussions on how we will absorb, that amount. It's been a challenging year. SEEK can increase, but when there's changes, so many things about a budget you forecast and you cannot anticipate the changes. You know, something as simple as property tax rates. You know, we go into a budget year with a forecast, a budget, but that rate is not set. And, you know, you set that in August. So there are many, many things to consider, and we will come back with a solution next month. We've been breaking that down even today on how the impact, so we can come back to it with a solution and share that with you next month.
Or tire scheme.
I move to approve the financial report.
I'll second.
All in favor?
I second. Yes.
Thank you, Ms. Anna. 5B is
Sorry.
review and approve the schematic design package for the RCHS Rock Athletic Performance Conference Project BG number 26-226. Mr. Trent?
So tonight we have our friends from DECO with us for a design development update. This is the second step in a three-step approval process of a set of plans. And they've got the good stuff, so I'll let them take over. And
Thank you, Mr. Clark.
Sir.
Always good to be here.
Welcome.
I thought I knew who I was when I arrived here today. So I was raised in a family, we're mountain people. We were taught men don't cry. And then you do this Miss Starla stuff. I don't even know her. I was bawling. I just was like hoping Chris wouldn't look over. So anyway, congratulations to her. We really appreciate your district. We appreciate how hard you go and how positive you are. You're an inspiration, and we love to be amongst you. So yes, exciting update. We think it's exciting. We're not finished yet, so there are flaws in what we will share because it's still not fully baked, but we're excited to show you some new stuff. So here we go. First slide. Yeah, you can slide whenever. The first slide will be the newest, greatest aerial. Since we've talked to you last, we focused on tennis quite a bit and trying to figure out exactly where tennis goes and how that sits in the landscape. We still have some work to do, just full transparency, with getting all the engineering back. So we don't have full engineering quite yet, but we've made quite a bit of progress. So this shows tennis in a way we've never shown quite before, baseball, softball, with our new building in the middle, and all the roadways are kind of matured out, and the sidewalks are more mature than we've had in previous drafts. So anyway, kind of big picture is we're still on script with everything we presented before. We've just finessed quite a bit. Okay. So our first view at tennis. So this will be the view on the highway side, and you're looking back toward the hillside. You can see kind of the crowd there. It's a little exaggerated because what we're showing is, you know, a couple really good rows of seating that will kind of be built into the hillside there, like poured in with concrete. And then folks can take lawn chairs and coolers or whatever and sit above that. So it creates 3 to 4 good rows of spectator seating. So if you want to host Wimbledon here, we are ready. But we like this shot because we like the spectators, of course, and the action, but then seeing the building kind of in the background is fun for us. You can see there some of the softball field fencing if you look real close, and then big American flag, which I think feels good. So that's that. This is the view from the sky, all the same stuff. But yep, nothing new there. And then this one was fun because we came over and flew the drone, and it just so happened to be the ice storm. So this is Rockcastle on ice.
Looks like an ice rink.
Yeah. Yeah. So that one's just a bonus. This one you've seen before, but we're still on script. We haven't changed anything here. So the old draft is still accurate. But the overall scheme is this is a what we call a pre-engineered metal building, so it's a rigid frame, and we're taking those frames and painting them red and trying to get some mileage out of them because we're going to have them anyway. So we're getting some of the oomph on this project just with color. This one is a repeat as well. This is the back side of the building. We're trying to create this private ballpark experience. So once you've been ticketed and approved to come through, you're kind of in an intimate setting there that's a little bit shielded from the highway and more private. And this is where we will sell concessions and have a ballpark experience. It's cool because you're in between the fields. You can hit baseball or softball, and you have opportunities to do double headers, and it's a lot of fun. This is just a view from the corner of one of the fields back toward the building. Kind of the notable thing here is we're trying to get some protections on the building because we expect it to be hit with balls. So we have some kind of grading products to make sure that the glass doesn't get broken out in your first season. That's the hope. Updated interior. This one, if you've been keeping tabs on it, has evolved a little. It's a little different. We have moved toward full turf, getting away from like a half turf, half hard surface thing. We were a little worried about safety of folks running on the turf and then they get on the hard surface, and it was a little clunky. So we've just dedicated this as a turf environment. And then the kind of weightlifting area above has matured since we've last presented to you. So that bit in the back is different. The previous draft had kind of a big sign wall with the rocket on it, and that was cool. That still exists, but we flipped it. So that is now behind the camera. It still exists. This one we think is cooler if you can kind of see up into above and get the depth of the weightlifting area. And this is a shot from up there. This one is a little gooey. The space is all correct. The framing and how all that works is correct. The kind of metal clad ceiling probably is not correct. It'll probably be a vinyl backed insulation. We're working through a few details there, but it's close and we thought it was worth showing. And then a view inside locker rooms. So we've evolved this a little bit, and we wanted to show it to you and get some feedback. But there's a lot of different ways to do lockers. The concept we're showing you today is 20 real lockers that you can sit in. You can put a baseball bat in. You can hang up a jersey in it and, have an actual game experience with. And then in addition to that, we have 24 additional just kind of typical school lockers that would be good for coming into exercise, and you're not worried about the jersey, you just pressed. Then you can use those lockers as well in a boost of numbers. So we're at 48 lockers, 44 lockers per gender. So we'll be at 88 lockers total, and then 40 of them are actually, you sit down in them, full game time type lockers. We've tried a lot of different things. We did like stacks of 4 lockers, and it's like the little ones you would get if you went to like an aquarium. We just didn't feel like that checked the boxes. It wasn't quite enough. So our numbers have come down a little bit. We've gotten bigger, higher quality lockers. So anywho, then we have the actual documents. This is what we are kind of encouraged to actually share with you. It's hard to present construction drawings, so I'd like to present the renderings instead. But if you could just kind of flip through them. I think there's like 30 sheets. I'll kind of babble over top of them, but I don't think we actually want to present all the hard documents. But yeah, you can just kind of flip through. So we're really proud of the drawings. We feel like they're in good shape. We have a lot of the boxes checked in regard to how the design works, what goes where, and the functionality of it. Where we still lack is getting the sports equipment specialty stuff all installed, and we're working on it. It's just not done. And then final engineering, we're working on that. And then once the engineering comes in, we have to react to it a little bit to finish. But we're currently on track. My hope is to be back in front of you for the next couple months, and then late May, early June, we'll have this all by the tail and have it on the street to bid.
Just to, thank you for doing the thing with the lockers.
Absolutely.
Yes.
It looks great to me. I know nothing about locker rooms, but I'm gonna turn, Mr. Bustle, I'm assuming you and Trent have looked at all of this, and this is something that you all like also? I mean,
And some of it's hot off the press.
oh, okay.
Hot. Like some of it we hit the file as we were running out the door. So some of it's hot.
I'm sorry, is there gonna be enough room for the walkers, like for golf, it's gonna have space, tennis, the baseball, softball, is that all gonna be enough for those, JD?
That's the first one we saw with the lockers in the middle. But we had talked about having an open space, but I mean, that's something we can talk about.
I don't,
Yeah, we have time to do that.
Yeah.
JD, don't wanna put you on the spot, but you said 44, correct? Would you anticipate that there would ever be a time that there would be 44 people in there? So with tennis and golf, or not golf, but, well, it could be golf. Tennis and golf were in there at the same time as softball, there would
You look
still
at-
be, we'll
right.
never have 44.
22, 24 maximum, I would think, on a team. Tennis would probably have about that many. I mean, 40 would be max, I think, in the girls' side.
So we can continue to hash that out.
I wasn't sure with, if softball and baseball were gonna do, summer ball and things like that, if that would affect it, or fall ball, if that would affect any of the space.
Timeline wise, I was hoping we were gonna be taking bids in April and starting construction in June.
Mhm.
Are we can we get it done for 27 season?
So yeah, we're still pushing. The hardest part for us is getting all the engineering in. So we're ahead of the game on the architecture front. We just got to get everything to catch up. Our hope, I think the main date we're worried about, Trent, is February. So we're trying to get construction by February. And that's the direction we're going to push. The tricky bit is getting the building by February. So kind of the worst kind of doomsday scenario on our side is if we can get construction going, if we have a bid process and the bidders say we're not going to bid because we can't get the building done in time, we have to negotiate, we would phase the building back, but go ahead and get the fields delivered to where your season doesn't suffer, and then catch the building up as we reasonably can. But as current trajectory is we're trying to get it all.
The fields are the most
February of
important, I think.
next year,
Yes. Yeah, 27.
to begin it,
Mm-mm.
to
No,
have it finished.
To have it finished.
So
Okay,
they would have it
okay,
for the
well,
next season.
you had me confused for a second, I'm sorry, it doesn't
I
take
do
much
that.
to confuse me, so I apologize. Okay, well, I was thinking that, and I was thinking our original goal was to have it completed before next season. Okay,
That's the
Still the
design.
goal.
okay,
Still
great.
I may just be backwards because I usually am. I thought at one point we were talking about going away from turf inside to just a solid surface as opposed to going from a solid surface to all turf. And I may have made that up, but
It's not the turf like on the football field. It's like
it's a
I think that was the
more,
discussion.
yeah.
okay.
That it was changing that, the style of turf. That's
Okay, that
correct
makes sense.
terminology.
Easier to take care of.
Yeah, gotcha.
It's like what we looked at when we went to Corbin and what they have at Brewery College.
Okay, okay,
Same concept.
okay.
Well, I think the drawings are beautiful.
Good. Thank
Yes.
you. Chris does those. I just take
Chris,
glory.
you do an outstanding job, okay?
One question before you leave. Do you care, I know that the board was very interested in us having that large American flag up, and I know you showed that in your drawings. Do you care to talk just a second about the reoccurring cost that comes with that, just so we have that knowledge and then we can make a decision?
Okay. So SPEDA, if you're familiar with SPEDA, in Somerset, so that's our economic development folks in Somerset, and they've worked with your folks over here on, there's been some joint effort, which is great, but once upon a time, they hired us because they wanted to do the big flag in Somerset. We were going to put it above Walmart in Somerset. There's a good little hillside where Epperson Electric is. There's a little water tower up there, and we were gonna do the big flag up there, and we thought it would be a cool PR thing for Somerset. And they're pretty expensive, these flags, especially depending on the scale. Now, we were gonna try to break a record. We thought we're gonna have the biggest American flag in the country. So it was bigger than, you know, Bowling Green Camper World.
That's a big one.
Yeah, it was bigger than that. We were gonna like try to get the Guinness World Records, and it is expensive. So this flag we're showing is probably a 5-figure flag.
Well, now, I don't really think we need a 5-figure flag. I mean,
Did you think about 12,000?
I'm sorry.
12 to
I'm
15?
patriotic and all, but
A good nylon USA made 50 by 80 flag is between $12,000 and $15,000.
How long did those last?
About a year.
Yeah. So just know that we don't have to make that decision tonight, but we just want you to have all that information so you can make a decision
maybe
about
we need
that.
to order a rocket flag.
DAR here, so that might be something to just kind of talk to them about as well. They're kind of the flag bearers of the area.
Yeah.
So it might just be something to.
Now, the experience of it, again, I love that.
Oh, it's
If
beautiful.
you would
but
come over
that's-
the hill and get that experience, it would be amazing. But
Also replace that, so just.
That's a teacher's salary.
yeah.
Every year.
Family flagpole, we're selling naming rights.
Yeah, that's.
Who we gonna
Right,
get to
something
go out
we
there?
can
Who we gonna
consider.
get to go out there and replace it? Who can pick it up? You know.
All of that, you have to do a whole
They
thing.
can't touch it.
No, that's just something we can discuss, but
Yeah.
I just wanted that to be on our plate so we could know that.
So, if we were to do something different, can you go back to the picture that shows that kind of, like the little front area? Oh. Okay, so it would be
Yeah.
in front of this.
The cameraman's leaning on the pole.
The cameraman's leaning on the pole. Okay.
You know, I think a reasonable option might be that if can we render maybe a 30 by 50?
Okay.
Yeah.
Because they're a lot cheaper. I don't know why. If there's a big,
And I'm not gonna do double, but can you put like a Kentucky, like is there those cheaper Kentucky flags with American flag, like to take up the space?
I've never looked at Kentucky.
You know what I mean? You have American
Yeah.
and Kentucky, same pole. Just curious.
Yeah.
I love the flagpole, but I mean, I'm not trying to be rude, but I just think that number is.
That's why we just want to throw it out there so we can.
30 by 50 is significantly cheaper. That
I
makes
mean,
it.
we can only buy 4 tires,
And-
okay?
If it were a one-time cost.
If it was one time, it would be different, yes.
Well, and the building itself, coming in from 461 is gonna look really nice.
Mhm.
That's gonna be an eye catcher.
Thank you so much. We appreciate you coming. So, my next question to you, so we vote tonight for this, and then the next time you come before us will be when, or estimated time? I'm just thinking in my head.
We're gonna be before you 2 more times.
2 more times.
2 more
Okay.
times. So I'm gonna come one more time where it's not all finished, and then we're gonna come back
Okay.
and it's all finished. Now, current trajectory is that's us being finished is very end of May, very beginning of June, which doesn't line up well with your board meetings. So
We'll make it work.
we'll need to navigate whether I hit you in May or June, but let's get it just a little closer,
Mhm.
and we can do that.
Thank you very
Thank you
much.
so much. Appreciate it.
So what are we voting on exactly tonight with this?
The design package that was presented to us tonight, Miss Hannah.
Okay. So I had asked about the locker room situation, if they were doing like fall ball or summer ball. And it interfered with like, I know golf is in the fall, tennis is in the spring, is that correct? So if they're doing, fall ball and golf is doing their thing, will golf take preference over, baseball and softball?
They got 44 lockers left, plenty of room to share because golf's got 4 girls and 15 boys. I mean,
Okay.
Well, there's 88 lockers, correct?
Yeah.
I mean, 44 for the girls and
Yeah.
44 for the
44
boys.
for each
That's
kindergarten.
pretty big number.
I think they'll be fine.
So you don't think it would be an issue?
No.
No, not at all.
Okay.
And Derek, what we're voting on, I think, correct me, Derek, please, if I'm not understanding this correctly, but what we're voting on right now is to say, so far, what you have designed, we're in support of, you're gonna continue to work on this and come back next month and we're gonna look at it again.
Yes,
But it's like the green light to tell you to move forward, to keep working.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay,
Okay, perfect. Thank you for clearing that up. That's all I needed to know.
okay, thanks, Anna.
I move to
Thank you,
approve.
Terry.
I second.
Okay, we got a first and a second. All in favor?
Can I say too that we'd like to thank DECO for supporting Project Graduation?
Yes, thank you. Hey, Daryl, we'd like to thank DECO for supporting Project Could you pass that information along to some folks? You may have already, I'm sorry if you have already. So, apologize. Item 6 tonight is our, review superintendent's personnel action report. That is in your drive. That is getting ready, you know, and how as we enter into the end of the school year, May, June, that will get much busier. But for now, we're basically looking at just bringing in some substitutes primarily. Does anyone have any questions? Next, we have our department reports. Those are all uploaded. Does anyone have any questions, or do any of you want to say something? I definitely do not want to leave you out if you have anything to share.
I do appreciate Dan coming tonight and sharing that audit. That's something voluntary. We don't have to do that. But they come in with their team and assess us and then show us areas for, as he said, consideration. What is mandatory is when the school marshals comes in to check our schools. And so just coincidentally, our school marshal, Stewart, was at the high school today. And that's a requirement. That's something that obviously every year has to happen. And we didn't know, we don't ever know he's coming. He just shows up. And so that went great today too. So I appreciate the high school being here and appreciate all the efforts that not just the high school, but all of our receptionists. Dan does our receptionist training, our threat assessment training every year. And so he does a fantastic job with those folks, and I appreciate all that they do and I know it can be an inconvenience when folks are asked for their badge or their ID, but that is something that's super important as he emphasized. So I appreciate all the efforts that are made toward those ends.
It's not that hard to give your ID to protect your kids. That's what I think.
Small price of coach.
Very small. Thank you all for doing these. I really do read through them and I really do appreciate them. So I know that's a lot of work. So thank you all. I want to know things, so we'll have to read them.
We're good on powers right now.
Thank you, Ken. You know, I say that kind of as smart aleck, but those are facts because we're seeing fuel prices start to go up now, and
I'm not gonna share those numbers right now. We'll talk about it later.
yeah, I mean it's definitely a concern. Number 8 is our public comment. I don't think we have anything planned. Number 9 is our superintendent's communication.
I would just like to say, and I think Ms. Jenny started by echoing this, that it's easy for us to look at the things that we're voting on, and it's very business oriented, and it's easy to get caught up in all of that. But it's just as easy to see when you have the student performances like we've had, and we've been able to recognize Miss Starla tonight, and Dan coming in and talking about school safety, that we do all of this so they can do that and be successful for our kids. So I want to take just a moment to thank you all, because without a strong, solid board, and I think we've all recognized that. We say this every year when we return from KSBA, but we're fortunate and we're blessed to have strong board members that are here because you care about kids and because you want to see these kids like that came tonight have successful experience success and have all of these opportunities. So I just want to take tonight to say thank you for that.
Thank you, Carrie.
I want to say congratulations to our boys and girls basketball teams on a great season, and our coaches and athletic directors and all the folks. And I'm sure principals are breathing a sigh of relief to be done with ball games, except softball and baseball are starting yesterday. So good luck to those teams as they go on. And then a lot of our student organizations have regional and state contests either happening or have happened. I know Skills USA had region a couple weeks ago, and FFA, and so I think those others are coming up soon. So wish all those folks good luck.
Just gonna echo what he said. All the kids here, we have so many more of those exceptional children, and I wish we could just line them up and showcase them every one. We're just it's amazing to see what we have in this county. It's very awesome. Congratulations to Miss Darla. That was great. Wonderful.
Miss Anna? She gave up on us. Just like to thank everybody for all your hard work, and just have a few more days and we get a little spring break. So, and the weather's getting prettier, so that will all make everything much better. Also wanted to add that, Miss Starla is fabulous. All of our teachers are. But it's great to see one of our staff members get that type of recognition by someone besides us, to see outsiders do that. So that's all I have. With nothing else, need a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
All in favor?